In today's video, we're going to be having a conversation about Paldea Evolved being short printed. Should you buy right now before it's too late? Our price is going to go up. Or is this a set that might be one worth passing on? Now, these are the things we're all going to discuss, but before we jump into it, as always, we do weekly giveaways. All you have to do to enter is leave a like, comment down below, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. We post pre-recorded content each and every week, Monday, Wednesday as well. And outside of that, if you want to be a part of the community either way, links down in the description below. Check out our Patreon if we ever have spots available. And then outside of that, the Discord link is also down in the description below to stay up to date on all things PokemartUSA. But today is Monday, which means we're going to be doing weekly winners. So without further ado, drum roll for the three winners: Don Harrington, Tyler Olson, Team O'Main. Shout out to you three. If you want to claim your prizes, please message me via Discord. Once again, links down in the description below. That is how you can contact me. But before we jump into it, I wanted to just give a big thank you to all of you guys that partook in the break on Friday. I had an absolute blast. By far my favorite break we've ever done. I was very enthusiastic. A lot of people said they felt like they got to see a very unfiltered side of me with the break. But I don't know. It's just one of those things where I love Diamond and Pearl era products so much that it just brings out the little kid inside me. So I get really excited seeing all of those pulls that I used to chase when I was younger. So but yeah, I just want to thank you guys for that. It was an absolute success, I would say. If you haven't checked it out, it was our posted video on Friday where we did the break. But yeah, today's video, Paldea Evolved. So there's been a lot of questions that I feel like most recently I've been getting having to do with the overall supply of Paldea. And obviously there's been a big center discussion around how the set's going to do. I got a little bit of flack because some people, which I already knew this, right? I already knew I was going to get flack for saying, hey, Paldea Evolved, I think there's a possibility this set could absolutely dud, right? And people were like, how dare you, Eli? How could you compare Paldea Evolved to Rebel Clash? And although I made it very known many times, I'm comparing it not from the artwork, I'm comparing it to the framework of the set, along with the fact that, we're going to get another Charizard set, kind of like how for the past, 3 years, the first one of 3 sets in every new generation happens to have a Charizard set. It's just a common theme. And for that reason, it had me to believe that there was a possibility we could see a price correction and or a disdain for the set. Well, as you guys can see, the release for this box was $132 and is now at $114. And you might say, well, Eli, yeah, of course, prices are going to come down, right? As we get to release date. But here's the deal, guys. Prices usually don't go down until the actual release date itself, because non-LGSs will then have access to put up product on TCG Player, because pre-sale is limited to local game stores. So if you're not a local game store, then you can't do pre-sales. And so typically that's why they tend to be higher on pre-sale, because a lot of the game stores are going to have to charge higher to make more money because they've got more bills than most people that are online retailers like myself. So having the price drop $20 and we're still 2.5, 3 weeks away from release, that's not a good sign for the overall kind of belief of the set. And I've seen a lot more negativity coming into the set. And now, is that me saying that to discourage you from going out and buying the set? No, of course not. I still think it's a set, of course, 100% worth picking up. I guess the point that I'm making with this is, don't feel like because you've been hearing the sentiment around the short print that you're not going to have an opportunity to buy this set. And that's more or less the point that I'm going to be trying to make with this video, because the short printed items, there's been a lot of misinformation going around, predominantly by people that don't have access to allocation numbers and everything. Most of the people that I've talked to about it have been pretty, upfront and honest about what's going on. Mason, shout out to him from Cardinal Games, as always. He talked about his numbers and what was being cut and what was not. And I got my numbers. And the moral of the story is booster boxes, for me personally, I didn't get cut. I heard some people got cut a little bit, maybe got cut, or maybe got more. But for me, booster boxes didn't get touched. Do you want to talk about what got cut? Booster bundles, 3-pack blisters, blister packs, and just that kind of general, not super high demand stuff. And it got cut brutally. Like, we're talking, I ordered 30 booster bundles and I got 2. Thankfully it wasn't that bad with the blisters. I ordered 30 of those and I got 11, but still brutal. And I can't remember the 3-pack, but I think it was around the same amount ordered to the amount given. So it was rough, but like booster boxes, my numbers didn't change whatsoever. They actually slightly went up, which kind of nice. And then for elite trainer boxes went down, but not nearly as much as the other ones. It went down a decent amount though, still like 20 to 30%, which, saying it out loud sounds pretty bad because 20 to 30% still sucks, but it didn't go down 70 to 80%. So I'm trying to be optimistic here in terms of numbers. So who knows, maybe Paldea Evolved Elite Trainer boxes are going to be worth an absolute ton for that reason. It's a pretty cool art design. It does feel like there's a lot of inspiration coming from Evolving Skies with that one. Obviously, there's only one design of it, but you get the point with the kind of feel of it. But yeah, Paldea Evolved is one of those sets where I feel as if right now you've got sentiment in the market, especially after the reveal of the Charizard, where people are looking for the upcoming set and they're saying, wow, that Charizard design looks absolutely crappy. No one's going to want that set, even though we haven't seen the release. Shocker, right? Everyone, is going to be negative, and whether you like the design or not, which I don't know if I've seen anyone that likes the design, that still shouldn't rule off the remaining set. We can try and be as optimistic as possible. But, with that being a factor, and then looking at Paldea, where you've got a lot of amazing art designs, but it feels like a pretty copy and paste version of the Rebel Clash outline of the set, except for the art designs are different. You've seen a lot of that be reflected in the Evolving Skies, not the Evolving Skies, the Paldea Evolved prices. And although it is not a bad price, I would say, to pick up at, the 110 price point, I would not be surprised if you could actually find this for somewhat cheaper in the range of 105 or lower, because this is one of those sets where this might sound like an interesting take, right? And only time is going to tell with this, because we don't know what reprint situations look like, and it becomes more daunting the longer it goes on. But I think the reason why this was such a short printed set was because, and it would be silly if this is not the reasoning behind it, the Pokemon Company is probably very aware from an analytics perspective what does well and what doesn't do well, right? There's a reason why they're beating the crap out of the Charizard. Like, they realize people are going to eat up Charizard as much as people complain about it being overplayed. People are still time and time again going to collect Charizards, and it's always going to be the most expensive card in the set, right? And so I think when they take a look at how Rebel Clash performed and how that set was an extremely short printed set, and to be fair, COVID obviously played a factor in that, but they went back and they did a reprint multiple times for Darkness Ablaze and Vivid Voltage. And they could have done that with Rebel Clash, but never did. They decided to pass on that. And I feel like the reason for that is because Rebel Clash was a set that was not taken well out the gate. People were not excited about it. It was called Rebel Trash for a reason. That was its nickname forever until now. And so I think the Pokemon Company at this point is very much so calculated and looking at Paldea Evolved and saying that this could possibly be exactly what happens with that. I mean, Scarlet and Violet booster boxes are absolutely in the tank right now. Like, it's 105, I think, on TCG Player, if I'm correct. I mean, we can quickly look if we really want to, for Scarlet and Violet booster boxes. So prices on that have dipped quite a bit because it was sitting at around 115, 110 for a while. Yeah, it's 105. So 115 and 110 being like the low for a while, 120-ish, and now it's just, I mean, you might not say to yourself 105 feels low, but with the new wholesale being around $95, that's the equivalent of buying a booster box with old wholesale prices sub $100. So that's a really cheap price. Now, is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? Is it priced appropriately? Should you pick it up? Should you not pick it up? Well, like I said before, if we're going to make a really big historical reach, I should say here. And what do I mean by that? I mean, if the Pokemon Company right now Let's say that they're just, hey, we're switching over silver borders, yellow borders, whatever. We're done. Maybe we'll print a little bit of yellow border stuff in the late 2022, sets like Lost Origin, Silver Tempest, etc., etc. But everything else, we're done. And we're going to focus more on printing sets such as Scarlet and Violet in the future. I think that there's an argument to be made that a set like Scarlet and Violet base and a set like Paldea are ones that might not get the reprint compared to whatever the newest sets are going to be. Because 151 is going to be an absolutely, insane set. The overall hype for that set is extremely high. We have still yet to see official confirmed links of what the main hits are going to be. Pokebeach is obviously slowly but surely showing us the main series cards. But I feel like the Pokemon Company is going to focus more on some of these more hypey sets in the future, more hypey products. Who knows if the Mew EX Special Collection is going to come to fruition. I know it's been a lot of leaks and, is it real, is it not? And so much has been going on with that. But more or less, I don't see the Pokemon Company going to Paldea and saying, yeah, this is a set we should really print into the ground, because more or less this is going to be a set that, sure, it has great art designs, but it's going to be more focused towards the competitive player base. And with the set releasing the exact same time of the trainer toolkits, it would not surprise me if a lot of those competitively viable cards were also going to be placed within the trainer toolkits. So it's going to be a way for them to suppress the price of those competitively viable cards, while also making it so that over time, if the booster boxes do go up because they decide not to print it, and it is indeed going to be super, short printed product supply of everything, and it's just that's it, they're done, then it just really makes sense to why they would just not go back from there, right? And that's why this might sound like an even stranger hot take for me to say, but I think quite possibly if the price of Paldea goes to low 100s, sub $100, I think there's an actual argument to be made that it could be an incredible investment along with Scarlet and Violet. And you guys might say to yourself, well, that makes zero sense, Eli. How can you compare this to Rebel Clash other than the art designs, and yet at the same exact time say it's an incredible potential investment, right? Well, it's quite simple, ladies and gentlemen. If we go take a look at how Rebel Clash currently, the booster box, as well as the Elite Trainer box is performing, the booster box is selling for $200, and Rebel Clash Elite Trainer boxes is selling for $200. Once again, Rebel Trash is what it was called for ever, and is still called Rebel Trash. But yet we know that when it comes to scarce supply of product, it doesn't matter, right? Because you're going to have people that are going to want to master set collect every booster box when one comes out. You're going to have people that are going to want to master set collect Elite Trainer boxes when they come out. And the idea of buying a guys, a $200 Elite Trainer box. If you ask someone, hey, what is the most expensive Elite Trainer box in the Sword and Shield era, right? Oh, obviously Evolving Skies, right? Celebrations? No, not Celebration. Brilliant Stars. No, okay, this makes sense. Oh, Crown Zenith, of course, right? No. Oh, Rebel Clash is going for $200, right? And I just told you that, sure, booster boxes might not have gotten a short print in the same way, for most people was slightly less, but Elite Trainer boxes getting a 30 to 40% cut, and for some people 50, right? That's an argument that you can make on being undervalued based on what we've seen historically happening with Rebel Clash, and you can still make that argument, I think, with the booster boxes regardless, because it seems very unlikely that this is a set that they're going to go back on and they're going to reprint it, because they know, unlike with Roaring Skies, there's a way for them to get these competitively viable cards now with VMAX League Battle decks is what they were before. It's probably going to be EX League Battle decks, and then obviously with the trainer toolkits as ancillary product to get these competitive cards in. So biggest hot take, I guess, of the day is that I think if you can pick up Paldea Evolve for 105 or lower, I think that it's honest to God potentially going to be a really good long-term investment, right? And it could even be a really good short-term investment within the span of like 3 to 5 years. When I say, you know, I guess I should say medium term rather than short term, because if Rebel Clash is a set that within the span of 3 years, you can go buy an Elite Trainer box for $30, which was the market rate at the time, and then go resell it for 6, 7x after a 3-year hold. That's insane value to really think of. And once again, this is going off the premise that we take a look and we say history is potentially going to repeat itself. But even then, right, if you don't agree with me on the sentiment of, you know, it mattering with Rebel Clash playing a factor, you still can at least deny the fact that right now the Pokemon Company is very much looking at booster boxes in Scarlet and Violet era so far, and there's been zero focus on using the new sets to supplement the lack of product in the Sword and Shield era, because we haven't seen an increased numbers across the board, which doesn't really tell me that the Pokemon Company sees this as a way for them to give out more product, because they know that more than likely, or at least I'm presuming, historically, the first 2 to 3 sets of every new generation usually is the one that performs the worst. I mean, looking at obviously XY era, Furious Fist performed extremely poor, along with XY base, Flash Fire obviously being the exception of the Charizard ones, because, you know, Burning Shadows performed horrible. Darkness Ablaze, for the most part, performed not the best. Rebel Clash didn't perform good. Sword and Shield didn't perform good. Sun and Moon and Guardians Rising didn't perform good. I mean, none of these sets perform good, but obviously over time they have still performed, right? And with playing supply and demand economic theory into this, then you can start to see the opportunity arise where you might say to yourself, wow, why would I ever want to invest in something like this? This is an absolute dud of a product. When in reality, there might be an actual argument to be made on why you could see this as an opportunity in the long run. So that's more or less going to be the main focus on the video. Yes, there has been some short prints with specific products, but booster boxes not as much. But still, regardless, I don't see this being a set that the Pokemon Company is going to go back on and reprint it, even if, you know, they want to address the short printed, because it's just one of those more competitively viable sets that is here for the player base and less for the collector base. Even though there is some cool cards to collect, it's not one of those, you know, Evolving Skies type sets with Evolutions or a Charizard in it or a Lugia or whatever, right? It's just one of those sets that's for, here's some new cards that are going to be thrown into the meta and then moving on, right? And those are sets that, surprisingly enough, can do really well long term. And so it's something I highly recommend you guys consider when looking at this set. And it's a reason why it might not be one that you should just, you know, kind of brush over, especially with booster box prices right now. If we're looking at what's going on with Sword and Shield, I mean, come on, guys. If there's a lot of you guys that truly believe Pokemon Company's not going back, then picking up booster boxes in the low 100s regardless. Who freaking cares? Astral Radiance was considered absolute hot garbage for the longest time, and yet it's pushing 125, 130 as a set, which sounds kind of crazy to say because of the negative sentiment, as that booster box was sub $100 for the longest time. But as far as it goes, ladies and gentlemen, that is all for today's video. As always, make sure to leave a like, comment down below, and subscribe if you want to enter into our weekly giveaways. Outside of that, you want to be a part of the community in either way, links down in the description below. Check out our Patreon if we ever have spots available for the wholesale access tier. Highly recommend it to get access to Pokemon, Magic, Yu-Gi-Oh, and other product at wholesale prices. Outside of that, Discord is the place to be if you want to stay up to all things PokemartUSA. Links down in the description below for that. But that is all for today's video. Thank you guys all so much for watching. Until then, I will see you all on Tuesdays Live. Peace.